I'm gonna record this board. All right, guys. So here we go. Today we're talking about detoxification. Okay, so so detoxification and all of the on all that it entails and why it's needed and why you actually need it in your health. And you know, one of the wonderful things about detoxification is that it's something that our bodies are built to do anyway. You know, and so we're going to go into some of the natural ways, some of the more natural ways to detoxify, and then also talk about why we need to detoxify, how to detoxify, some of the organs that are involved in detoxification. And I'm going to refer you guys back to your spreadsheets, I mean, back to your worksheets as well, or your inserts as well, for more in-depth information when it comes to this. So we got detoxification here. All right. So detoxification is the process of removing. So it happens in two parts. So number one, the first part is detoxing. The second part is cleansing. Okay. So two different actions there. So detoxification is the process of removing the toxic quality of a substance. So let's say your body eats. So let's say you eat your body eats. So let's say you eat a hot dog, for instance. Okay. Now we all know that. Oh, there's Rose. All right.
How do I get you back on my screen?
Hey Rose. Yeah, you should. I should still be up there.
I don't see your face.
Scroll up to the top right, and you maybe see something like speaker view or gallery view.
It just says share content, and then it says participants. Let me see participants. Let's see.
Can you see the screen?
Oops, close. Oh yeah, I see your screen. I see the screen, but I don't see your face, your picture.
Oh yeah, my video is still going.
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay. Hey Rose, Rose, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Were you able to get I tried to email you all the slides ahead of time last week. Did you get them?
Yes, I did. We're on detoxification.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I got both of them. By the way, the gut one. I got the single one and the gut with the detoxification.
Okay. Awesome. Good. So we're on page 2 of the detoxification. It says, "What is cleansing and detoxification?"
Yes.
All right. So like I was saying, detoxification is detoxification is the process of removing the toxic quality of a substance. So let's say you ate a hot dog, for instance. Okay, you know summer's coming up, so you might be eating some hot dogs. I don't know about July 4th. I don't know if we're all going to still be on the national quarantine. COVID-19 might count.
I will be definitely. Tell you that.
We're going to be celebrating July 4th. We might be celebrating July 4th in isolation and quarantine around this piece for folks. I don't know how we're going to do this. You know, some inside barbecues or something. I don't know how we're going to do that. But so let's say we have a hot dog, right? You eat the hot dog and it goes into your body. Well, some parts of that hot dog is good, but a lot of it is bad. Okay. So you know that a lot of the hot dog is bad. So your body has to detox the hot dog. So it's just like, okay, let's start separating the good parts from the bad parts. And when it separates the toxic parts from the good parts, that is the process of detoxification. That typically happens in your liver for the most part. All right.
Okay.
Now, cleansing is typically the second step and is the process of removing the now toxic substance from the organs and ultimately the body after detoxification has occurred. So now your body has to get rid of those toxins that were in that hot dog and pushes them down to your kidneys to pee it out, or pushes them down to your bowels to poop it out. All right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it separates the good parts from the bad parts. Then it separates even the bad parts. What parts need to go to the urine for immediate removal? What parts can we still digest and still get rid of and send that to the bowels, and your bowels can separate a little bit more in that process as well. So when you poop out the waste, you're pooping out hopefully toxins and any kind of byproducts and stuff like that from the hot dog. So so detoxification and then cleansing, both of those happen in your liver, and they both require enzymes and different nutrients in order to happen. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think will happen if your body doesn't have enough enzymes to one, detoxify, or B, cleanse? What do you think will happen?
You'll be off balance. You'll be off balance. I mean, your whole body would be just, it's not functioning properly.
Exactly. What were you saying? What were you saying, Elva?
Well, pretty much it just poisons our body because it stays there.
Exactly. Right. So we talked about that last week in digestion, right? So that's where putrefied food just sits around in a person's body, is because their body is just not able to cleanse it, or if your body doesn't detoxify it, then that means that a toxic substance now gets passed on into places where it shouldn't be, and can get passed on to your cells, your bloodstream, and things like that. And so your liver is a big filtering filtering organ, and it has direct access to your bloodstream, which is why when a person drinks alcohol, and it gets into the bloodstream right away, it kind of bypasses some of the filters in the liver and goes straight into the bloodstream, which then goes straight into the brain, and then begins to fog up the brain, and that's why a person experiences tipsiness or drunkenness. Is because the synapses in the brain are being blocked, and so it throws off their equilibrium, it impairs their judgment, all kinds of stuff. And so that's what happens in their body. So if cleansing can't happen, then your body may be able to detox the substance, but then it just sits around in your body because it can't cleanse it out. So we need both of those to happen.
Okay.
All right, so we have some natural processes here. All right, cleansing occurs primarily in the bowel. That's the flushing part. So the cleansing, so your liver does cleansing, detoxing and cleansing, but it mostly does detoxing in 2 steps. All right, so the cleansing occurs primarily in the bowel and the kidneys through elimination. So think about cleansing, it's eliminating. All right. The purpose of performing a cleansing and detoxification program is to detoxify and cleanse compounds from the body at a faster rate than our exposure to them. Okay, so it's important to know, guys, that we live in a toxic world. Okay, just point blank, period. And if you guys remember from the orientation, one of the reasons why we have naturopathic medicine and its approach to modern medicine is so different is because, you know, our toxic load in our current world is overwhelming. And because of that, we're seeing higher rates of cancers, higher rates of lifestyle diseases, higher rates of mental illnesses than ever before, because our bodies simply can't keep up with the toxic load that we're exposed to on a normal basis from birth. Even from conception in the womb, you know, we're being exposed to toxins. So when that load gets too much, the body just begins to break down, inflammation begins to happen, all kinds of nasty illnesses and diseases happen. And so from time to time, we need to aid and assist our bodies. And by doing that, we do a cleansing and detox program, which speeds up their process a little bit more. And there are a few steps to that program, to a typical cleansing and detox program that we're going to go through. So both processes are a natural part of our biology and are in place to keep us healthy. All right. Any questions about that, guys?
No.
Make sense? All right, cool. So clues to toxicity. All right, raise your hand if well, I can't see you, so speak up. if you've ever had or currently have any of these symptoms: headaches, fatigue, skin rashes, joint pain, weight gain, insomnia, multiple chemical sensitivity, autoimmunity, endocrine dysfunction, allergies, constipation. I'm going to add on here brain fog or mental fatigue. Any of these, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What'd you
Anybody?
say? Brain fog, that's not in there. What else?
What'd you say?
You say you were gonna add another one with brain fog and what else?
Mental fatigue.
Mental. Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fatigue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so fatigue is up there, a second thing there. I mean, all of these are kind of general symptoms.
Uh-huh.
And so they can be a sign of any number of things that can be going wrong in the body. But if you're experiencing any of these things, it's important to pay attention, right? And to not overlook them. Like for instance, right now, I've been dealing with a skin rash, right?
Mm.
And so my forearms and on my back, and I've been having one on my chest for a little while. It's been coming and going. So with that being said, my wife and I are doing our own cleansing and detox program with a group of friends. So I'm taking myself through this as well. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta help my gut out as well because I'm having these allergies, which is your body is really trying to get rid of toxins, sore throat, coughing, those kinds of things. And I've been having these allergies, and I've been having some joint pain in my knee, and I've been having some skin rashes. So I'm like, all right, so I need to pay closer attention to, and I've had a couple of headaches from time to time. So I'm like, okay, I need to start paying closer attention to what I'm eating, and maybe there's something in my diet that's triggering me that didn't trigger me before. All right, so pay attention to your body, pay attention to your skin, especially because what your skin often reflects what's going on in your gut.
Okay. So, for instance, if I'm out in my yard and I have never experienced like my skin itching when I'm in the yard, the sun hits me, that has to do with the toxics in my body?
Well, if you think about why your skin is itching, oftentimes it's because something is irritating it. So oftentimes that is an acute sign of irritation.
Okay.
So yeah, if you just leave the environment, or if you wash your arm or something like that, and it stops itching, then you're fine. Yeah, but if you're just going around the house and doing your normal thing, and you start itching out of nowhere, and it's persistent over a period of days, then it's probably an issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Rose, you had something?
No, I'm good. I know with my joint pain, if I eat something incorrectly.
Flares up on you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And most of that I found out was sugar.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sugar is highly inflammatory. So why should we detox and cleanse? Okay, number one is exposure. As I said before, we're exposed to all kinds of stuff in our environment, not just through the foods we eat, but through the air we breathe, the chemicals we put on our skin, whether it's makeup or lotions or hair care products, or if we do the clothes, the things we wash our clothes in, the soaps and detergents that we use, all kinds of stuff, So because your skin absorbs all of those different things. But again, the air we breathe, we live in Southern California, so there's smog out all the time. I go up to the mountains and I can see this haze over the entire valley. Like, oh my God, I guess I live in that, So exposure, we're exposed to things, our water supply, things like that. Things get dumped in our water, and I think that I saw a crazy stat that was like, the majority of Americans' water supply have pharmaceutical drug residue in it because people are dumping their drugs down the drain or in the toilet, and that gets flushed and processed, and that's what we're drinking. And so so it's everywhere. It's in our food. Of course, they're spraying our food with all kinds of stuff to kill the bugs, to kill the weeds, to make the plant stronger, more resilient. Roundup, for instance, is a big one, and they spray it on sidewalks and highways to kill weeds. But then that stuff seeps down into the water supply, seeps down into the soil, and gets into our food chain through the plants, and then the animals that eat the plants, and we eat the animals, and so it builds up. It builds up. And so, we're exposed to this stuff all the time in every single way. Not only that, but even the light around us. Oftentimes, like right now, I'm sitting under fluorescent light, and this is kind of toxic light. There's a lot of studies that are coming out now that are showing how blue light, specifically, and toxic and fluorescent light, can affect the mitochondrial production in your cells, because this light that's above me is different from the sunlight. It's different. It's a different wavelength of light. The wavelengths of light from the sun are erratic. They're sporadic. They're erratic. They're never the same. It's different. You experience different wavelengths at different times of the day, morning versus afternoon versus evening, right? And the sun itself, if you think about it, it's a big ball of gas, and it's constantly fluctuating. So it's constantly spitting out different wavelengths, and so our bodies are used to that. As opposed to the manufactured lights above me, it's the same wavelength all the time, constantly. And our bodies don't know how to really handle that, So that's like, we tell you to eat a variety of foods where you want to expose your body to a variety of light, So, so it's all around us all the time, guys. So there's really no way to escape it. And bioaccumulation. So these toxins build up in our body over time, because if our bodies can't get rid of them fast enough or get rid of them properly, then if I'm sending you a wagon cart full of 6 sodas and 1 glass and 1 bottle of water, okay, and you can only process and get rid of 2 sodas at a time, then guess what?
You're gonna blow up.
You're gonna get built up. You're gonna get a backup real quick. Okay.
Wow.
So that's what happens in our bodies. Like, our bodies are able to detoxify, a lot of things. But when we're constantly eating toxic foods, and we're constantly exposing ourselves to toxic chemicals around us, and we're constantly exposing ourselves to toxic light and toxic people, toxic emotions, think about the pandemic we're in right now. And with fear being a real contagion, those things accumulate and build up in our system over time, and can have negative effects, which lead to things like cancer or other lifestyle diseases, high cholesterol, heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's actually starts in your 30s and 40s and builds up and manifests in your 70s and 80s. Because of bioaccumulation. It's little ticks in your brain over several decades, and now a person is walking around impaired because of what they did in their 20s and 30s.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're paying for it right now then.
Yeah,
We did in our younger days, we're paying for it now.
it's like, oh, I'm young, I can just do what I want. Yeah, not really. Yeah, not really. I remember.
That's the principle. God said you reap what you sow, more than you sow.
Oh yeah. It's always coming back.
Right.
Coming back. I was listening to a podcast of these guys. These 4 guys, they're 4 successful men, and one of them he's really into working out. He's really in good shape, and he's 40. I think he's 40, like young, early 40s, and he's a multimillionaire. And he was telling his friends, he's like, yeah, this 45-year-old Jamal I can't thank him. He's like, I have to thank the 30-year-old Jamal, because the 30-year-old Jamal is the one who had in sight the 40-year-old Jamal and was doing what needed to be, happened to be where I'm at 40. And so he's like, I'm working out today. I'm not working out for 40-year-old Jamal. I'm working out for 50-year-old Jamal so that he can thank me when he gets there, you know. So I thought it was a really interesting perspective that we're always building and preparing for the future, you know.
Yeah.
So this next slide says 80% of all cancers are acquired from the environment, which is crazy to think about, you know.
Wow.
But it's so true when you think about we're exposed to so many toxic and potentially carcinogenic chemicals on a daily basis, like from the moment that we're born. We're being exposed to those things, and scientists are coming out with more and more data to show, oh, now this causes cancer, and this causes cancer, and this causes cancer, and we thought this was good, but no, guess what? It causes cancer. And it's just like, man. So if we, you know, so what? Who knows? For instance, you know, what having a Bluetooth and being exposed to Wi-Fi is we don't have any studies, long-term studies on what exposure to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and cell phones does. Like, it's only been around for 20 years. We don't know, you know. So if we don't know, then it's better to detoxify ourselves right now, just in case they come out with a study in 10 years says, oh, guess what? Wi-Fi is bad for you. Well, now you're telling us after 30 years. Thank you very much. You know. So just like when smoking first came out, when, you know, smoking came out, they were smoking for centuries. I mean, centuries. And they were saying, hey, it's bad for you. Like Benjamin Franklin back in the day was even saying like, it's probably not a good idea to inhale something and puff smoke out your mouth. You know, they were smoking tobacco. And that was way more clean than the cigarettes we have right now. Way cleaner. You could just lighten up a plant. But even then, some guys are like, that's probably not a good idea. Well, lo and behold, 200 years later, people are still smoking. And you had big tobacco companies coming out with all these ads. They were funding all of these different research and labs and stuff to tell you how good smoking was for you, that it wasn't harmful. Does that sound familiar right now with dairy? Does that sound familiar right now with like some of the foods we're eating right now?
Yep.
This is an old trick, guys. It's a very old trick.
Right.
And lo and behold, smoking causes cancer. Oh man, lung cancer. And people started dying by the millions, and they were like, okay, well, we can't hide behind our big ass and our big money anymore. This thing is deadly. But after they told us for a couple hundred years that it's good for you.
Right.
So yeah, just be on the lookout for some of this newfangled stuff, guys. And so that's why we want to, another reason why we want to detoxify ourselves.
Okay.
So there are a few factors that determine how well we can safely process and eliminate the chemicals we are exposed to without overwhelming our detoxification pathways. Okay. And so we all have, like I said, natural detoxification pathways. Even your sweat, when you sweat, is a detoxification pathway. How many of you guys feel better after a great workout?
Oh, yes.
Right. Right. That's because your body, to exercise, the word exercise means to remove. So when you exercise, you remove a lot of those toxins from your body through your breath and your sweat, and even the energy that's used to create it and that's used to move. Your body has to burn through a lot of chemicals to even just to get you to move or to run or to walk or to do anything. And some of those pathways are the amount and toxicity of the chemicals we are exposed to. All right. So for instance, heavy metals like arsenic or mercury, our bodies can deal with them in very small amounts. you know. But then there are some chemicals that you might be exposed to that even the same amount of that chemical as the arsenic or mercury is way deadlier or way more potent. Or there are other things like nicotine, for instance, where your body can or caffeine, for instance. Let me say caffeine, where your body can deal with that at a lot larger scale than it can, let's say, arsenic or mercury. So, so the amount and the toxicity of the chemicals we're exposed to is one factor. Another factor is how well we're able to transform toxins into harmless byproducts, which in turn depend on how efficient our detoxification enzymes in our lungs, liver, colon, kidneys, and bowel are programmed to perform. All right, so we're going to talk about that in just a second here. All right, so so you have enzymes that break down these toxins, and every single person is different. And you're different today than you were tomorrow, you're different today than you were yesterday, and you are tomorrow, right? And so you have different levels of chemicals in your body, different levels of enzymes in your body right now. And so just because you were able to efficiently detoxify, let's say oatmeal, or Quaker quick oatmeal yesterday, all right? Well, that took a toll on your body to detoxify that food. It took your reserves down a little bit. So if a person keeps eating it over and over and over and over again without replenishing the enzymes needed to break it down, guess what happens over time? They develop a food allergy.
Oh.
And they become, quote, allergic to it. It means that their bodies just aren't able to detoxify that particular food the way as efficiently as it used to. So the pathway to detoxify that food has been worn down or worn out, and and so that pathway is not as efficient or as it used to be, and so those enzymes get depleted somewhere along the way, and we experience some type of symptom as a result of that.
So you're saying that's with oatmeal?
I was using that as an example, Rose. Yep.
Yes, but that is one that if you just eat that over and over and over again.
Well, I mean, it could be for some people. For some people, you know, we're going to talk about this in a second. I'm just using that as one example. You know, I've seen people.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. You know, using that as an example because, for instance, for me, like I used to be able to do well with oatmeal. Now, not so much. You know, but for some people, their bodies are good at it. And for instance, person A, if they have a reserve of enzymes, let's say of 100, and they eat a certain food, then it may take their reserves down to like 88, then down to 80.
Okay. Right.
The person B may have a reserve of 100, and then they eat a certain food, and that food now takes them down to 60 instead of 80. And it's for a myriad of factors. Or person B starts at 60, where person A starts at 100, and they eat the same food, and person A goes to 80, and then person B goes from 60 to 0. So it's a myriad of factors. It's a myriad of factors. This is what I'm trying to convey to you.
No,
guys.
I understand what you're saying. Because I don't eat oatmeal every single day. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't really eat anything every day. You understand? Good. So that's why I have so much trouble with eating anyway, because I have to keep mixing it up.
Yeah. And that's good. Giving your body a variety is good because you're not taxing the same pathways over and over and over again, and it gives your body time to recover. Let's say you deplete a little bit this pathway, but then you start using the other pathway, and it gives the first pathway a little bit of time to recover and build back up before, you know. But if you're just pounding it the same way, for instance, for me, you know, there was a time in my life where I was like really broke. So I was eating ramen noodles and chicken and oatmeal every single day because that's what I could afford,
Right.
I understand.
Wasn't a good look. I became allergic to chicken breasts and allergic to oatmeal and allergic to eggs at some point as well, because I was following like the bodybuilder diet and all that kind of nonsense, you know? So, you know, slamming my body with tons of protein powder and tons of eggs every single day, raw eggs and all this other kind of craziness, and raw oatmeal that I was eating and everything, right? Um, and it was just not good. I was eating that. It was quote healthy food, but I was eating it all day,
Every single day, right? That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. So a few other factors that affect your I'll move this down. A few other factors that affect your efficiency of the detoxification pathways is, one is your genetics. Okay, so the efficiency of our detoxification enzymes is in part determined by our genetics. All right, so again, this is not the end all to be all, but it is a real factor. You know, as we all are different genetically, some people are better at digesting certain foods than other people. And it could be for a myriad of factors. Some people, like for instance, myself, I don't have a problem with digesting most carbohydrates, you know. Whereas my wife, for instance, is not the same for her, you know. And whereas she can, but on the other hand, you know, she can she can eat cheese and she can eat beans and be just fine. Me, not so much. You know, so we just have different enzymes in our bodies, and our bodies are different genetically. So that's one thing. The next thing is nutrition. You know, we eat, and our nutrition modifies our detoxification pathway. So your body is constantly and always adapting. All right, and so if you routinely expose your body to certain kinds of foods, like for instance, a person who is routinely eating, so let's say In-N-Out, then their body is going to adapt enzymes to try to do its best to break down that I don't know, what do they sell at In-N-Out? Foods. I don't know, the burgers. I should have chose Burger King. So a person eats Burger King every day, or several times a week, then they're going to have enzymes break down the Whopper, right? I don't eat In-N-Out, so I don't really know what they sell. So I don't know. My wife. On a side note, I came to California, and you know, you guys have these California only chains, or these chains that are big out here, you know.
Right.
And, my wife tried to take me to In-N-Out, and she was like, "Oh, this is good. It's fresh." I was like, "This is like McDonald's." And she's like, "No, it's better than McDonald's. It's fresher than McDonald's." I'm like, "It's the same thing." So she knew I was just kind of like anti-fast food and like all that kind of stuff, anti-McDonald's or whatever. And so we never really went back. And so I never hopped on the In-N-Out train. So In-N-Out, who else? Carl's Jr. and Del Taco and Jack in the Box. I've never been to those places. I'm like, this California chains, man. So, but you know, if you eat those things on a regular basis, then your body's going to adapt. But it's the same way if you're eating greens on a regular basis, and pomegranates, like you see over chicken, you know, grilled chicken breasts, or you know, things like that on a regular basis. If you're eating healthy, nutritious foods, not only will your body adapt the right kind of enzymes, but it will be replenished with enzymes as well. So you get like a double bonus when you eat the right kinds of foods. Whereas when you eat toxic foods, when you eat less nutritious foods, they are less nutritious because they don't have nutrients in them. All right. And it requires your body to pull from its stores of nutrients just to digest those foods. Whereas if we eat the whole foods, yes, it's going to pull from our bodies to digest those foods, but those foods are going to give more than they take. So upregulation. Nutrients even influence our genetic expression, all right? Having the ability to upregulate detoxification pathways that are programmed to operate less than optimal. And that's what we just talked about there. So there are a ton of different detoxification pathways. And there's something called nutrigenomics, all right? And then there's another subject called epigenetics. You guys ever heard of epigenetics?
No.
No, not me.
Okay. So epi means to be above, like epi, above. Genetics are your genetic expression, right? So the way your genes typically operate is you have like your DNA and you have your RNA. Your DNA is the blueprint of the information. Is basically telling the cells what to produce, where to go, how to reproduce, what things like that. Well, you have your blueprint, and then you have how your blueprint expresses itself. So let's say you have software on a computer, for instance. The software of the computer, you install a video game on your computer, and it's just a blank canvas. It has the characters already built in, has a storyline already built in, has everything in it. That's like your genes. Boom. Now, when you go in and play the game, now you're opening up all these different worlds. You're opening up all these other different possibilities, and you're encountering all these other different things. That's epigenetics. That is how our lifestyle influences our gene expression. So what we eat and what we do, what we think, where we go, all determines what genes in our bodies get turned on and get turned off. And you have genes for cancer, you have genes for anti-cancer, you have genes for dementia, you have genes for anti-dementia, you have genes for obesity, you have genes for anti-obesity, right? And when we eat certain things, it's literally turning some genes on and off, on and off, on and off. And that's how two twins can be born and then end up with vastly different health, in 30, 40 years, is because one twin decided to live a certain lifestyle and it turned on or turned off certain genes, and another twin decided to do other things, So epigenetics gives us the ability to say, hey, look, I am not a slave to my genes. I can affect my genes, and I can affect how they express themselves. And so some people have genetically programmed detoxification pathways that are inefficient or not as optimal as, say, for instance, breaking down a hot dog.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Elva, you may be really good at breaking it down genetically. I may not genetically. All right. Now, by eating certain foods, not the hot dog, but eating certain foods, I may be able to upregulate my ability to handle that hot dog, and tell my genes, hey, get better at breaking down foods like this hot dog. Does that make sense, guys?
Okay.
Now, of course, we don't want to eat hot dogs on a regular basis because that just kind of negates the effect. But you guys get the idea.
Well, it's processed foods, and they say that's not good for you.
No. So let's look at how detoxification happens, how detox happens here. So we have, there are a few places: blood, your liver. So your liver first starts off in your liver. Your liver goes to your blood, then goes to your lymph. Your liver also feeds your gallbladder, which feeds your kidneys. All right, your kidneys pee it out, and your liver or your gallbladder also feeds your intestines as well. All right. So, and then your pancreas, these three work together: the pancreas, the liver, and the gallbladder all kind of work together here with the detoxification process. All right. And then you have your cleansing process down here in the kidneys and the intestines. Blood also does some cleansing as well, and especially the lymph. The lymph is really big. Your lymph system is really big when it comes to detoxification as well. So your lymph is extracellular fluid that is not your blood, and it can only be moved when you move. So that's why we move on a regular basis. It's through movement you can detoxify your body, and so that's why you want to move on a regular basis and not just be stagnant. Because when you're stagnant, your lymph doesn't move, and toxins just sit there in your body.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So putting together some type of a program. All right. The first step is avoidance. Okay. So if you want to talk about just ongoing natural cleansing and detoxification, just in your natural life, you want to start with you want to start with trying to avoid some common toxins. All right. But if you want to start a more detailed and a more targeted detoxification program, I think that would be in your insert. But you want to, before you start that, you want to make an inventory of your current exposures. All right. And we have a short list in your insert that talks about the exposures and common household things. You guys can do a quick Google search of common toxins in your household and make a checklist. And they have checklists that you can find online. You just kind of go around your house and see, hey, do I have this product? Do I have this product? Do I have this product? So on and so forth. You know, it's the most important step that is often overlooked. Exposure should be limited as quickly as possible. Remove the easiest and most obvious exposures by first using the list below as a guide. So one of the most prevalent places your toxins are found are in your food. All right, so toxins in food, we talked about that, them spraying the food, them feeding the animals, the sprayed food, right? And so you have processed food, then you have the ultra processed foods. Like ultra processed foods would be like Oreos. Like, come on. Completely man-made. Like there's nothing natural about that. You can set that out in nature and a bird wouldn't even touch it. Okay. And then there's processed foods like breads, for instance. Like if a bread, a slice of wheat bread, for instance. That's a process. It had to go through a process to get into that loaf. Like you don't just see a loaf out in nature anywhere. But the birds would eat that. Like the birds would eat a piece of bread. All right. Then you have lightly processed foods like rice or potatoes. Like you just have to boil those things to get them ready to eat. You know, you just can't eat them in their raw state. But toxins in your foods, we talked about this before, chemical contaminants like orgophosphates, pesticides, xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens are crazy. See this water bottle that I have right here? I probably should have checked this to see if it said BPA free on it. It doesn't. So I'm probably drinking some xenoestrogens right now. Okay. But BPA, if you ever see that on the bottle, it says BPA free. That means that it doesn't have some of those xenoestrogens in them. Xenoestrogens are men and women have both estrogen in their body. Women have more than men. You know, obviously, xenoestrogens are chemicals that look like estrogen compounds, because you have different forms of estrogen in your body. You don't have just one type of estrogen, you have multiple forms of estrogen. And so there are chemical compounds that look like estrogen compounds, but they are external. And they come into your body and they throw hormone function out of whack. And if a man eats xenoestrogens for too long, then he begins to develop man boobs. All right. Starts to get soft around the hips. His voice starts to lighten up. For women, can throw their cycles and their periods off. can really mess up things like menopause, all kinds of nasty stuff, right? So, so those are xenoestrogens, PCBs, DDE, and mercury. We talked about that from like Roundup and some of the things that they're spraying in our foods, in our food by taking simple measures. And so the biggest thing here is eating organic. We talked about that in the nutrition class. And so you want to avoid some of those things. Eat your produce organic, especially the big strawberry that we see right here, because it's strawberry season. So all those strawberry stands that we have around here, ask them, are these organic strawberries?
Okay, so you said about organic. For instance, when they sell the, like the strawberries, organic strawberries at Costco's, we should avoid those?
Yeah, no, those are fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Strawberries are definitely one crop that you want to eat organic.
Okay.
Yeah, if you remember the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 chart that we showed you guys a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
Yeah. All right. So non-organic animal products contain antibiotics and hormone residues and are high in PCB and should also be avoided. So even if you say, man, Mitchell, you know what, I can't do this whole organic thing. If you're going to eat anything organic, it should be your meats, by far. Any kind of meat you eat should definitely be organic in nature. All right, because those guys have been fried, laid to the side, and processed all the way, all different kinds of ways.
Say that again about the meat.
I said the meats. I said the meats definitely should be organic.
Okay.
Yeah. So putting it all together, guys, you want to avoid some of the common toxins that we find in our environment. I would say, like I said, go through and make a checklist. You can find some quick, easy checklists on Google, like home toxic checklist. You can just type that in the search and you should be able to find some checklists. But the number one place to look is definitely in your food. All right. So after you have cleaned out, after you've avoided some of those toxic foods, now we want to put the good stuff in. Okay. So since your liver, coming back up here, since your liver and your kidneys, all right, and your intestines, your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, and your lungs, all right, are really the big drivers when it comes to detoxification. So we want to eat foods that are going to be beneficial to especially your liver, number one, and your kidneys. All right, and some of those foods, again, you can find that in your inserts, are going to be cruciferous vegetables, are going to be really good for your liver. Okay, leafy green vegetables are going to be really good as well. All right, I call leafy greens nature's multivitamin. Right? They have everything in them. So cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, some herbs like turmeric, ginger, for instance, are going to be good. Dandelion root, milk thistle, are also good as well. So we're looking to put the good stuff in while we avoid some of the bad stuff to give our bodies a fighting chance. All right, so we want to try to limit our exposure to some of the toxins and then increase our ability to handle the toxins that we are exposed to. That makes sense?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm taking an IV every week to detox the stuff, the bad stuff out of my body.
Yep.
So I do it every Monday.
Yep.
Okay, that's helpful.
Oh, yes. Yes, especially for you, Carl, since you have the multiple myeloma. And so your detoxification program is kicked up a notch, right? Because your body's trying to fight off a cancer. So
Right.
we have to aid your body with a lot of extra stuff so that it can function properly, but not only function properly, but we want to aid your body in its own, we want to aid your immune system to get rid of the cancer, So so yeah, that's why we have to take some extra steps beyond just the food for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I feel a little different when I do take it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just wanted to know that's good though.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a good thing. So So those are the basic gist of a cleansing and of detoxification and cleansing program, guys. And so of course there are different supplements, that we have in house, that come in addition to eating a good clean diet. Which first of all is you want to give your body the foundation of a clean diet first, and then we can add some specific liver or specific kidney type of supplements on top of a clean diet. Because if you're just still eating the junk and still exposing yourself to the toxins, then it really won't really won't help,
Right.
So we want to avoid the toxins as much as possible, and then put in the good stuff. All right, and then we do that on a regular basis a couple times a year, and you should be good to go.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions? Any more questions on this topic, guys?
On this picture here about the blood and liver, pancreas, you mentioned about how they work. Can you go over that?
Yeah. So we talked about the liver last week in your digestion program, right? So whenever your body gets the food, okay, it goes to your stomach, and then goes from your stomach, mixes in with gall to your liver.
Okay.
And your liver then detoxifies and filters out. It's basically a big filtering organ, okay? It filters out a lot of the toxins and sends some of that to your bloodstream, all right, for immediate use, and it goes to your cells. Your pancreas will release insulin, okay, as a result of what your liver is doing. So if your liver is saying, hey, we have a lot of glucose, so some of the sugars, the glucose, can get stored in your liver for further use, but the excess then gets released into your bloodstream, and then for your muscles, and any excess on top of that then gets pushed into your fat cells, okay? And your body does that with proteins, fats, carbs, anything, Your pancreas is going to release insulin and other hormones to aid your body in digesting and getting rid of and processing the food that you just ate.
Okay.
So your pancreas does that. It goes to your blood. Your liver also sends it to the lymph system as well, the toxins, and that's your body's kind of waste management system. Your lymph, as you move, your lymph moves. So your lymph doesn't have a heart the way your blood does. So your lymph fluid relies on your own movement to move it through your body. Now, your liver also sends the waste products now down to your kidneys, and that's when you go pee.
Okay.
And then it sends the other waste products down to your intestines, and not waste products, but then it goes, the food then goes into your intestines. And hopefully the food's been detoxified by that point, and it just needs to be cleansed. So your intestines break it down even more, and then cleanses it and poops out the waste.
Right.
Okay.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you for that bioanatomy lesson given to you by an aerospace engineer. It's awesome.
Clean up that body.
Huh?
To clean up the body.
Clean up the body. Yes. All right, guys. So thanks for hopping on here. Rose, I have a call with you like right now, so you can just hang on, just stay on here. All right.
Yes, okay.
All right, Carl and Elva.
Okay, sis, see you later.
See
You
ya.
guys have a good night. All right.
Hey, you too. Thank
All right.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.